Christine and welcome to the first video in my bridal series. If you guys follow me on social media, you know how much I love and adore all things bridal hair and bridal makeup, so I thought it would be super fun to make a series for you guys condensing everything I've learned in all my years of doing bridal hair and doing bridal makeup and teaching it. For this video, I wanted to show you guys my very most requested bridal look of all time. I've compiled all of the things that every bride across the board has asked me to do regarding makeup, and I'm going to incorporate it in this look for you guys. So when you're having a consultation and your bride opens up all these beautiful pictures from Pinterest, this is basically the look that they're asking for. Since this is the first video in my series, I also wanted to go over skincare and skin prep and a few other things that aren't really covered very much. So hopefully it helps you guys out, and let's get right into it. One of the things I get asked about a ton and I don't see people talk about very much in makeup videos is skin prep. And for brides, it is so important. So I'm going to show you some of the things I always do and some of the things I sometimes do depending on their skin. Keep in mind, I've had a trial with them. I've talked about how their skin is already, and all of these products I've already tested on them, and I know they're not going to have a reaction on their wedding day. First thing I like to do is a really light exfoliation. I love this product because you can do it on dry skin and you don't have to have a sink with water to cleanse it off. You can literally feel the dead skin cells like sloughing off. And then I just use micellar water and a super soft cotton pad to wipe off the residue. Whenever I touch their skin, I want to be super gentle. I want everything to feel like really pampering, like a spa treatment. Before I start on the makeup, I always like to check their brows because I don't want them to have any stray hairs. I want everything to look perfect when the makeup's on. Usually though, they've gotten waxed a couple days before. We've talked about this, but I always check. Okay, if your bride is oily or even just in the T-zone, which a lot of people are, this is my favorite toner. It mattifies everything. It keeps it matte the entire day. I put it on a cotton pad and I literally press it into the skin only where they're oily. Then I apply a moisturizer. I'm going to list a couple for you guys down below because there's a few different ones I like depending on how dry their skin is. But I pretty much moisturize everybody unless they are super oily. I feel like most people still need a little bit of hydration. Using a long wear primer on the eyes is definitely a must for weddings. Most brides get their makeup done really early in the morning or afternoon, so every step we can take to help the makeup last through the ceremony and into the night is important. I love highlighting on my brides, so I always like a really nice pop under the brow. So I'm using the lightest color in this Viseart palette and I'm just pressing it under the brows. And I actually use a lot of product for this, even though the Viseart is super pigmented, because it kind of absorbs into their skin and I really want the area to pop, but in person, it just looks like a natural glow. It doesn't look like white powder. Then I'm going to go in with like the lightest neutral in this palette and start to create a transition in my crease. The focus of this particular look is making the eyes appear very bright and beautiful. This is the #1 request from my brides. So I do this with amazing lashes and by doing the eyeliner in a very specific way I'm going to show you. So to balance these things out, I'm keeping the lid very soft. So now I'm going in with a step darker and I'm going near her lash line and continuing to V it out. With the lighter transition color, I take it up pretty high, like almost touching the brows, because the higher you go, the more open their eyes will look. If you want an extremely in-depth explanation on eyeshadow placement, I highly recommend watching this eyeshadow basics tutorial I did after you finish this one. I'll link it down below. Now I'm going to take like a darker medium brown and I'm going to press it right into her lash line. I want her to have a little bit of smoke, but I want it very natural still. So you can kind of see I'm taking a pencil brush and I'm buffing it out near her lash line, and then I'm going in with my fluffy blending brush, the one that had that really light transition color on it, and I'm just swirling it out so there is no harsh lines. Everything's blended, everything's flawless. Okay, since this look is so neutral, I do want to add a pop of shimmer on her lids. I don't usually love glitter for the wedding day unless they specifically request it, because while we probably do want that glitzy glam, we still want it to be very timeless. So this is a super gorgeous loose shimmer and I love it for my brides because it definitely gives you that little extra. So I popped on a glitter glue first just to give it an extra hold in the middle of her eye. And now I am super gently with a flat synthetic brush dipping into this shimmer and just pressing it onto her eyelid. So up until this point, everything has been matte. I keep my shimmer just to the lid for bridal. I found that most of my brides like their lid color to be pretty light. I feel like it makes their eyes totally pop in pictures. So even if I do a lot of smoke on the outside corners, I don't go too dark on the lid. Generally, after I do the shimmer, I step back and I just make sure there's enough definition in her crease. So I'm going to add a little bit more. Because I did the glitter glue first and the way I pressed her eyeshadow onto her lid, I didn't really have any fallout, but I'm still going to clean up under her eyes just in case. We don't want any shimmer under there. Okay, this, along with the lashes, is what gives your eyes that beautiful Barbie doll pop. I'm taking a really flat, stiff brush. I'm going in with a gel liner and I am tightlining her eyes. So I am pressing this black color right in between her lashes, basically. So I'm going underneath her lash line and I'm not really putting it on the waterline in there. I'm literally pressing it in between all of the lashes so they look super thick and super dark. And then after I do that, I'm also going to do the thinnest line of gel liner on the top, but I want to keep it super, super thin. I want it just to look like her natural lashes are so thick that it's dark right there. I don't really want it to look like a big line of liner. And I have found that if you do the thinnest line right in their tear duct area, it really, really, really makes their eyes pop in pictures. So what I like to have them do is look away from the brush so it's more comfortable. And then I just really lightly press into that area. I want her brows to last all day, so I really like to use the Anastasia Brow Pomade. A lot of people will use this product and it looks super thick and super dark, but the trick is using the right brush, which for me is the Anastasia brush that goes with it because it's really thin and you can do tiny little like hair strokes. So what I do is just get a little bit of product on the brush and I swipe it on both sides so that it's like a sharp little sword. And then I like to make a really defined line under their brows. So I'll draw the line and then you can see like I'll press up with the color. So I just fade it up into the brow and then I draw little brow strokes and then I feather the top into it. So it's really light. This product dries super quick and once it's dry, it does not move. So you want to just work with like a little bit of product at a time and work pretty quickly. You can spend a lot of time on the brows if you need to, but just perfect each area before you move on because once it's dry, it's kind of hard to go back and change. I like to brush through it as I go. That helps keep it soft too. I want the foundation to look really airbrushed and their skin to look flawless. So what I found works really well is to do a really thin layer of foundation with a brush and then to go ahead and press it in with a beauty blender to get that really flawless finish. And whatever I do to the face, I do to the neck, and whatever area of the chest will be exposed. I don't want to get it on her dress, but if there's any flash photography or the way certain lights will bounce off in photos, I want everything to reflect the same, and skin reflects different than makeup. So if everything has makeup on it, she's gonna look totally perfect in photos. Next, I'm going in with concealer under the eyes. I want to add coverage and also brighten this area to add that perfect bridal sculpted look to her face. I'm covering the highest points of her cheekbones and I'm also going up the sides of her nose. This is a great trick to contour and slim the nose. And you'll notice when I apply the concealer before I blend it in with the Beauty Blender, I didn't bring it up all the way under the eyes. I find that if you do that, there's too much product and it tends to crease or it can look cakey. So what I do is I leave a little bit of space underneath and I'll buff it in with my Beauty Blender. And then at the end when there's like a little bit of product on my blender, but not too much, I will buff it up to the eyes. And that way there's hardly any under there, but you still get all that coverage. I like the Beauty Blender because it kind of absorbs the extra product too, so you are left with just the right amount. And since I only did a thin layer of foundation and I want that flawless look for her, I'm using a powder that has coverage as well, so it's kind of like a foundation powder to put on top. This will help set it and it will give it a little more coverage. Just like I like to layer the eyeshadow, I like to layer my contour. So I'm going in with a super light bronzing powder and I'm doing underneath her cheekbones and on her forehead. And with this, because it's a bronzer and not a contour powder, I do like to bring it up a little bit higher on the cheeks to kind of give her some warmth. Blurred out everything with foundation, so now I want to add shape back into her face. This powder is the trick to the glowy bride that still lasts all day. I found that if you use too many liquid glowing products, the foundation doesn't last all day, especially those that are oily, so I like to use powders. So this one is like a super thin, almost sheen, like it's like thinner than a shimmer even. So it's not chunky at all. So I can put this like almost all over the face. I do the high points, cheekbones, forehead, chin, nose, everything. On her, I'm using Becca Champagne Pop. I love the Becca highlighters for brides because they do give a lot of glow, but still not that glitter. I'm really wary of the texture that I use on brides. I don't want any product that's too chunky. Like, even though it's makeup, I still want it to look like it could be their skin and that it's just that amazing. And sometimes I'll use a brush for this, but sometimes I use my finger. I feel like if you really gently buff it in with circles with your finger, it almost presses it and it looks more metallic, like extra glowy. I am going to show you guys how to do my favorite lashes for brides. These are gorgeous on everybody. They're gorgeous for my girls that love glam. They're gorgeous for my girls that want to be natural. And something about them just looks so amazing in pictures and in person. I just love them. People call them individual lashes, but they're basically like little tiny lash clusters. And what I do is I literally build her a lash. Like, this is a custom lash. So I choose my sizes, I choose my thickness, and I'm going to create a lash that looks good with her eye shape. With this camera angle, it's hard to see exactly how I did it on Caitlin, so I'm gonna show you on my hand. Basically, I do a layer of the lashes with a little space in between, and from the outside to a little bit past the middle, I do my long ones, and then as I go in towards the corner of her eyes, I taper shorter, and then I go back in and I fill every little hole with another lash. And the more I've played with them, I found that they only give that pop if they are really curled, like really pushed up. So I give the natural lash a lot of curl before I apply them. Next, I go in under the eyes and I want some pigment there too. So I'm taking another fluffy blending brush. I'm going in with one of those super, super light warm brown colors, and I am so lightly buffing under the eyes. So I just want like a light wash of color that's extremely diffused. I just want some warmth under there, a little bit of a shadow, but I definitely with this look like to keep it light. Then I am going in with a darker, really warm brown in a super thin shading brush. And I'm basically doing like under eyeliner with this brush, but it's very diffused. It's very like buffed out. I always put mascara on. I feel like if you don't, the natural lashes are always lighter than those black extensions that you just put on and it looks off. So basically what I'm doing is I'm pressing the natural lashes right into those extensions so they blend seamlessly. And like I said before, I like these lashes to have a lot of lift. Like, I like them to be standing up. So I'm pushing them up with the mascara too. And then once it dries, it's gonna lock them in place. And I love bottom lash mascara. I think it's so pretty, like a light layer of it. It just gives a little light shadow under the eyes and a little bit more definition. So now that the eyes are done, I'm assessing her face and I want more highlight. So I'm going in with a brightening powder right on the tips of her cheekbone and more highlighter. I am all about layering. So this one's Moonstone by Becca. It's lighter. It's like almost like a champagne white, and it's lighter than anything we've used so far. So it's gonna give that extra pop. So this one I'm keeping segregated just to the really high points of her face. Okay, for lips, they need to stay all day. So I'm using this Lime Crime lip liner. I'll list the shade down below because I have to look it up. I don't remember. And this one is really matte, but it's not like drying matte. So it's an awesome base for your lipstick. It will stay all day and I really love it. I'm gonna use lipstick on Caitlin today. I do like liquid lips for my brides, but I'm weary, like I don't want their lips to feel chapped, and sometimes for some people it's hard to touch up because you still have to touch it up. So what I usually like to do is use a fantastic lip liner, go over it with lipstick. I'm gonna show you guys a trick, and then I'll give them more lipstick and gloss in a touch-up kit. I'm having her rub her lips together and I am blotting it. So this is the trick. So I'm kind of soaking up the extra cream, and now I am adding a second layer of lipstick, and this will lock it in. Layering, I'm telling you guys, is the key. And if you want, you can add a little bit of gloss. I usually do it like right at the end before they leave because the gloss will kind of start to deteriorate things like over time. So I hold off on that. I'm layering on a little more bronzer, and then I'm gonna add blush. I love my brides to have a super sculpted cheekbone. I feel like they love it, and it looks so pretty in pictures because they're always turned to the side looking at their husband. So I also put some translucent finishing powder right under their cheekbones, and I let that sit while I do their blush, and I feel like that just really gives them beautiful cheekbones. It makes it pop. I am doing kind of like a pinky peach blush on her. My brides tend to gravitate towards like pinks, peaches, or nudes. They're very classic. If my bride has like a fall wedding or something and is doing a lot of berry colors, like we'll incorporate that into the look if they want. But what I did on Caitlin today is like my most requested. Okay, now that blush is on, just a little more highlight just to make sure everything blends. And now I'm going to set it with my very favorite setting spray. I used to not really think setting sprays made that big of a difference until I tried this one, and I really do think it locks in the foundation and it does help it last longer. I have more awesome bridal hair and makeup videos coming your way, so make sure you're subscribed to my channel and hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when I post and you won't miss out.